I'm here to tell you your African roots are rooted in the Bible. If you are an African and you don't believe in the Bible, in other words, you are against the faith of your ancestors. The African ancestors believed in the Bible. If you don't believe in the Bible, you are against your roots. You are against the African ancestors. Okay, so let's go back to Acts chapter 8, verse 26. I believe you are enjoying the Bible study. Acts chapter 8, verse 26. It says, Now an angel of the Lord said to Philip, now we know why an angel said that. Go south to the road, the desert road that goes down from Jerusalem to Gaza. 27. So he started out, and on his way he met an Ethiopian eunuch. Meaning somebody who of a high position who comes from Ethiopia. An important official in charge of all the treasury of the Kandeka, which means the queen of Ethiopians. So the queen of Ethiopians was called a Kandakai. So he was in charge of the treasury, meaning he was a minister of finance in the office of the queen of Ethiopia in those days. This man had gone to worship. This man had gone to Jerusalem to worship. Let me just stand there again. Let me just wait there because this is a Bible study. Let's just go to verse 28 and I will say what I want to say. And on his way home was sitting on his chariot reading the book of Isaiah the prophet. Listen. Where is Ethiopia? Ethiopia is in Africa. This man was an African man, and you all know the history of Africa, that where Ethiopia was right now is not exactly the place where Ethiopia was in Bible terms. What I'm saying is not exactly that. I mean, it's not just the portion at which Ethiopia was in Bible times, because you know the history about colonizers who came, they divided Africa and so on. Most places, even Libya, was not just the way it is right now, the way we know it. Even Egypt is not just that small portion. There were big portions. So even it is believed that in those days, when you refer to Africa, you refer to a big portion. When you refer to Ethiopia, you refer to a big portion of Africa. So this man was an African man in the Bible. Or have you heard people like saying, oh, this Bible of yours is the Bible of white people. It was brought by colonizers. Before the colonizers came, none of our ancestors knew about Jesus. None of them knew about Abraham. These are fairy tales of the white people. Listen, the book of Acts, chapter 8, verse 26, long before colonizers could ever even think of coming to Africa, the Bible or the Old Testament, if I can say, let me just say the scriptures were already in Africa, because the Bible says this man of Ethiopia, he had come to Jerusalem to pray. Meaning if in those days, even before Philip, because somebody's saying he was colonized by Jesus. No, even before Philip could preach to him, he was on his way of going back to Ethiopia, but he had already came to Jerusalem to pray. Don't you remember the book of Acts chapter 2, that all men used to come once in a while to pray in Jerusalem? On the day of Pentecost, they prayed, and some people there were from Africa also there. So this man had come from Ethiopia to go to Jerusalem to pray. The minister of finance in the kingdom of the queen of the Ethiopian people, and not just to pray only. He had already had the book of Isaiah. It is not Philip who introduced him to Isaiah. It is not Philip who introduced him to the God of the Bible. He had already had the God of the Bible. He had already believed in the God of the Bible. This is our African roots. I'm here to tell you your African roots are rooted in the Bible. If you are an African and you don't believe in the Bible, in other words, you are against the faith of your ancestors. The African ancestors believed in the Bible. If you don't believe in the Bible, you are against your roots. You are against the African ancestors. It's the Bible, it's not me. No, I feel like I'm becoming hot now because people are now like liking to speak lies. And people of God, this is how some people believe. No? It's not really written in the Bible, but if you can read the history book of the Ethiopian people, now we are living the Bible. Let's leave the Bible because it's written by the colonizers. Okay. But when you read the history book of the Ethiopian people, that still exists even today. The history book of the Ethiopian people speaks of a story of how one of their queens once visited a man who they considered as from God, a man called Solomon. The wisest man is there in the Ethiopian history. Native history, not the Bible. Their Ethiopian history suggests that's their belief. The same way we are saying our ancestor is modern. Their ancestor, the queen, once visited an intelligent man who was called Solomon. And that intelligent man, according to their history, that intelligent man spoke to him and gave him a lot of things, Jewish things. And guess what? According to that history, that Ethiopian, that queen met the king, and that king impregnated the queen, and the queen went back pregnant. Remember, like for you to move from Israel to Ethiopia, it was a long time because they used to travel with chariots. Maybe she was not aware she's pregnant at that time. We don't know exactly. Maybe she became aware on the road. But according to her history, then the queen was impregnated by Solomon. That's why you have this belief in the Ethiopian people that even leads to Selassie and so on. That leads to those people and so on. That the offspring of that that child was the offspring of Solomon, who is the offspring of David. So that's why they believe the son of the queen that came, the son of the queen was the son of Solomon. Here I'm talking about African history. Go and study it. Without the Bible. That's their history of the royal house and kings and so on. They believed it can be traced to David through Solomon. So in other words, what I'm saying to you, and that story is there in the Bible. Do you know that? That story is there in the Bible. The Bible tells us that there was a time the Queen of Sheba visited Solomon. But the Bible never said he had a child with Solomon. But the history book said he had a child. That I'm saying maybe it was not recorded in the Bible just because maybe they never became aware that she became pregnant. And I could believe it. Solomon was a woman guy. Even when I read that scripture before reading the history of Ethiopian people, I thought that was like Solomon and the Queen. Solomon and the Queen. We all know Solomon. We all know. We cannot reject the history of Ethiopian people that the queen slept with Solomon. We know what kind of a man Solomon was. He had, when we add his concubines and his wives, it totals to 1,000. Just imagine like Sheba now. We now know it's 1,001. What about the others? So what am I saying to you? I'm just trying to say to you, don't believe the lies on the internet that black people are not in the Bible. Here's it. An African man is in the Bible. An African man helped Jesus to carry his cause. And Moses was married to an African lady. Remember, Moses was raised in Africa. So when he became married, he was married to the African lady. Africans are all over the Bible. I don't even have time to talk to you about certain things. Let me just say this in short. Maybe it will help you. Have you read about what they call the lost tribes of Israel? The Lamba people? The Lamba people? Make a research of that. Let me give you a homework. I don't want to go deep into it. The Lamba people, just search the lost tribe of Israel, Lamba people. I'll just write it on the screen for you. Lamba people, Lamba tribe or something like that. Do you know what are those people? When you question the people about give us your history, do you know what do they say? They say that the descendants, for the Bible, they say that the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they say their ancestors are Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Those people are alive today. The Lamba people, they can be found in the southern part of Africa. Southern, not west, not up there, no. Southern part of Africa. They are in South Africa, Zimbabwe, and some other neighboring countries that are there even today. They are history that is not written, that is being communicated through words, says they came from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. These are African people. If you can see them, they are black people. If you want to say black, people of color. No, I don't want to go into it. Just go and search it on the internet, and then you explain to me why are people lying to you, saying the Bible was something that was constructed by colonials and it was brought here by colonialism, and our people never knew the Bible before the white people came. Okay, kick out the Lamba people. Go and check their skin. Go and make DNA test of the Lamba people. They call themselves black Jews. It's all over Africa. Even in Ethiopia itself, there is a lost type of, even by the way, do you know that the Ethiopian culture, they believe that the lost ark is in Ethiopia. That's what they believe. We all know in the Bible that we don't know what happened to the ark. Like in the Bible, like in writings, it just disappeared when you study the Bible. And the Ethiopian people have their belief that it was transported to Africa. Where were the colonizers in those days? No, I just want to show you that some people wouldn't just. But I just give you a lot of examples that I didn't even go deep about colonizers. No, I'm just giving you a nice shell that the colonizers, yes, they came with the gospel. Yes, maybe they abused it and so on, but they were not the one who introduced the God of the Bible to Africans. That's my point. The colonizers are not the one who introduced the God of the Bible to Africans. Africans knew the God of the Bible before the colonizers. Before the colonizers placed their feet in Africa, the African people already were believing in the God of the Bible. There is it in history. Let me conclude here. People, let me see you tomorrow. Oh my God. Let me see you tomorrow. Let's go on the steps on how to preach the gospel. I just wanted to remove certain things that can hinder us to preach the gospel. Or even when you are preaching the gospel to people, they might say these things. But now I believe this short explanation can give you answers to people who are asking you questions when you want to preach the gospel. Let's take another episode tomorrow where I'll give you the steps. I believe you enjoyed it. Share the video. Tell me how was it. I love you. God bless you. Signing out. Pastor Voice.